GrapheneOS turns your Google Pixel into one of the most private and secure phones on the planet. And now, with Google set to take a page from Apple by locking down their operating system and what you can do with it, there's never been a better time to take back control. Today, I'll walk you through how to install GrapheneOS on a Google Pixel using your computer and the official web installer. Nothing complicated, just a simple step-by-step guide to put your privacy back in your own hands. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session. So here I am with a Google Pixel 7 Pro. If you're installing Graphene, you are going to need to have a Google Pixel phone, and I would recommend. Yeah, I mean, the 7s are fine. This is just one that I had kicking around here, and I've kind of wiped it. If you want updates available for Graphene moving forward, you might want to go to 8, Pixel 8 and beyond, just so that it continues to get updates. Either way, this one is a wiped Google Pixel 7 Pro. I have gone in and done a couple things just so I can kind of record the screen like this, and I'll tell you what I've done in the midst of that. But we're basically going to prep this phone right now so that we can install GrapheneOS, and there's some things that you need to enable in order to do that. So first up, we are going to make sure we enable developer settings, and the way you do that is you swipe down. You swipe down again. Down at the bottom of the screen, there's a settings wheel. You're going to tap that. And then you're going to go all the way down where it says About Phone. You're going to click on that. And then finally, way down to the bottom, there's something that says Build Number. And what you do is you tap on that multiple times. And so right now you're seeing when I tap on it, it says, no need, you're already a developer. If you're not a developer, it will say you are X number of taps away from becoming a developer. So you're going to tap it, I think 7 times. It will prompt you for your PIN, and it will say you are now a developer. And what that does, I'll go back here. What that does is it adds a new menu option in your settings. So again, from settings, if I scroll down, what I can see here is if I go to System, right there, and I scroll again down, I see developer options, which would not have been there before. And so what you're going to do is you're going to tap on developer options. And there is an option that says OEM unlocking right here, and you want this to be on. Okay, so you want to click that toggle switch to make sure that OEM unlocking is on. Again, the phone here, just to reiterate, needs to be unlocked in terms of it can't be locked to a carrier. So if you're locked to a particular carrier, whatever mobile service providers are in your area, this will not work. You need to have OEM unlocking, and in order to do so, you can't be locked to a carrier. So make sure that your phone is fully unlocked. Other than that, we are now pretty much good to go. So we're back to the main screen. Now, one other thing to note is for that whole process I just mentioned, you will have to be connected to the internet, and that is so that it can actually check whether or not your device is locked to a carrier. So you may need to have, if you don't have a SIM card, that's okay. You can just connect to your Wi-Fi. But as long as you have an internet connection, then you should be able to enable OEM unlocking. All right, so what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be restarting the device in bootloader mode. And I will say that right now I have a USB-C cable that is connected from the phone directly into the computer. You will get the best results if you plug directly into the computer and you are not using any additional dongles or hubs or anything like that. But results can vary. But if you plug directly in, you'll have probably the best time. I also have this page loaded up, and this is the Graphene instructions basically that I'm kind of going here through here. But they also have the ability for you to download the firmware and directly install it via the website and your phone that has been prepped. So first, let's deal with the phone itself. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to swipe down not once, but twice. We are going to hit the power button in the bottom right. And let me just, there we go. Okay, the power button in the bottom right. And we're going to hit restart. And when it restarts, we're going to hold the volume down button to get into bootloader mode. So we'll do that. Screen goes black. I'm going to hold the volume down button. So when you boot up, you'll get something like this. Navigation basically is the up and down arrows allow you to change menus, select things, and the power button is to actually select the item that you want. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to transition over here so we can see the page in question. And again, this is all the instructions that we have for installing. So everything we've done so far is going to be up in here, and I will link this down below. But first, we want to unlock the bootloader, which is this option right here. So I'm going to click that. We should see our device, and we're going to hit connect. And now what we're going to see is a change on the computer screen, on the phone screen. And it now says here, do not unlock bootloader. But we can change that by using the volume keys to select until it says unlock the bootloader, which I'm then going to press to accept. And now what we see, what we're looking for is down in the bottom here where it says device state, we should see unlocked listed there. And so we can now go ahead and continue on with the process. And so now over here on the page, we're going to obtain the factory images. So we're going to hit download releases. It's going to take some time to download, and then we can continue on. Okay, and it will take some time, but what you're looking for is for it to say downloaded. And at this point, we can now move on to Flash Factory Images, and we're just going to click on Flash Release. And this will begin working away. So you're going to see your device reboot, and it's going to start flashing a bunch of code on the screen. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that goes on. What you need to do is not touch it. Do not interact with it. Do not press buttons. Do not unplug. Do not do any of those things. Let it do its thing. You can see it's restarting device here on the screen. So just let it go until it says flashed down here. So it's going to take some time. It'll be a while. Get cozy, get patient, let it go, and it will happen over time. So we'll come back when this is all done, but believe me, it's going to turn off and on a bunch. You'll see the progress on your browser screen as it goes. Okay, so we can now see on the website that it says flashed. So this portion is now done. What we need to now do is lock the bootloader. So again, this just enables a full verified boot. It also prevents using fastboot to flash, format, or erase what we've just done. So what we can do is click here on the page where it says lock bootloader, and it's going to give us those options. And it says, do not lock the bootloader, or if I press the button, lock the bootloader. That is exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm going to select it. And this is going to restart the device, and it should boot into the new OS. But we're going to wait a second. We're gonna pause in between. So just give it a moment. Okay, so this brings us back to the screen that we saw before. All we need to do is hit the power button to start. And this should boot us into the GrapheneOS. We will see a Google screen initially because it is a Google phone. That's normal. But then we, rather than booting into the Google Pixel OS, Android OS, we will continue into our new operating system. It says your device is now loading a different operating system. Now, as we're booting on, I'm going to hit this pause button. And what I want to do is I want to cross-verify this ID here, this hash. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look to see if this matches the hash of the software online referenced via the website. So on that same website we were looking at before, there is a list of these hashes, key hashes down below for various devices. And we can see I'm on a Pixel 7 Pro, which is right here. We can see it starts with BC1 and it ends in 82F. And even though it's small on the screen right now, I can confirm that that's exactly what it says here on my device. So it looks like we are good to go. We see our Google screen here, GrapheneOS, and we get our welcome to GrapheneOS startup screen. So pretty basic, choosing language, accessibility. We're going to hit next, connect to Wi-Fi. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do that for now. And we'll find our local network and put in the password. Okay, we're connected. We'll hit next. Date and time. You can set that locally, set your time zone, adjust current date and time if needed. So we'll go and we'll go Denver Mountain Standard Time. There we go. And we'll continue on. Everything there looks good to me. Okay, location services. You can have these on or off. For now, I'm going to leave them off. And then we're going to set a PIN. I'm just going to set a basic one for right now. I'm not going to set up a fingerprint. I don't need to restore from an old copy, so I'm going to hit skip. Swipe to navigate your phone, learn gestures. Okay, I'm going to skip this intro here. You're all set now. And it says, do you want to disable OEM unlocking? It's recommended to disable this. It improves device security. I'm going to go ahead and keep that checked, and I'm going to hit start. And here we go. We are now into our GrapheneOS. Okay, so with GrapheneOS installed, we're starting here on a pretty blank screen. You know, we've got a few default installed apps like a photo gallery and our phone and messaging app and a non-Google browser, even though it looks like Chrome. It's de-Googled, and our phone app and a bunch of stuff. And navigation in general is pretty simple, but we're gonna need to learn how to actually get the appropriate app store so that we can install the things that we want. Just a quick bit of navigation here. If you swipe up, you will see all of the apps that you currently have and be able to search them above. So you can see kind of default what is here. If I swipe down and from the main screen, I swipe down again, you get kind of your internet settings, Bluetooth, airplane, flashlight, all those basic things and any notifications. If I swipe down again, I get an expanded version of all kind of these functions and, alarm, all that kind of stuff. We also have our power button and further settings down below. And we'll go through some of that in a little bit. But first, let's deal with getting app stores. Now, what we're going to end up doing is setting up user profiles and being very intentional with where we put apps so that we can further preserve privacy. But at first here, I'm just going to get everything in order. This main kind of home profile is going to be where kind of all of our apps live, app stores and everything, and how we obtain apps. And then we'll segregate out those apps and enable them in specific profiles for very specific reasons. AKA, I don't want anything that requires Google services to interact with other, privacy-centered apps that may reveal personal information about myself. And so I will set up the phone as such. And so let's go ahead. Let's get our app stores in order. And where are we going to get stuff from? And so you can see down here on the bottom right, there's something that says App Store. And furthermore, if I swipe down and I go into settings down in the bottom right here, You'll also see something that says apps, and there's App Store right here. And so we can access it from a variety of different ways, but I will go back to the main screen. I'll click on App Store. Okay. And so the GrapheneOS App Store is this, and it says, hey, this is installed. Some other pre-installed services all here, messaging, PDF viewer. We've seen a bunch of those in our app drawer. Down below, there's some additional things, a Crescent and Google Play services and Google Play Store. So we are indeed going to install those things, but we're also going to disable some things before we go and actually interact with them. And we'll segregate this Google Play stuff into a totally separate profile. So let's go ahead. Let's click on a Crescent. This is an app store. I'm going to hit install here. And we will allow network permission. You can turn this off if you like. Actually, I will turn this off because... and we will allow network permission. I'll hit install here. Okay, we'll go back and we're going to install Google Play Services. We'll install it. I am not going to allow network permission for this one right now, and I'm going to hit install. And I'm not going to allow for this one either, install. And we can see here that they're now both installed, not only Google Play Services, but the Play Store. This kind of covered both of them. So they're both there. And I will leave it at that. I'm not going to do Android Auto or markup. We'll just leave that there. And if we go back out and then we swipe up, we will see those listed here, the Play Store and a Crescent. Okay. And what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to hold on this and go to app info, and I'm going to disable that on this profile. Okay, so we're going to leave that be and go back. Okay, now we want to get some other app stores as well, because we need to be able to access and get our apps from a variety of sources. Now, before we go installing some of these other app stores, I do actually want to grab an app from a Crescent, the one app store that we downloaded here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to open that up, and I'm not going to get notifications there. So I'll X out of this, and there's going to be some apps on here. It's going to be limited in what you can get, but I want app verifier. So again, if you were to search it, app verifier, either way, this is what we're looking for. And this allows you to verify the source of any applications that you are installing outside of an app store that already has verification processes involved, making sure that it was indeed created by the developer you intended to install it from. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to install app verifier, and that will help us moving forward with our other applications or our other app stores we're installing. So it says, for your security, your phone currently isn't allowed to install unknown apps from this source. You can change this in settings. I will go ahead and change it. I will allow here. I'm going to hit install. So it's going to install app verifier. And yeah, we'll leave this other one off. Okay, go back. Perfect. So app verifier is now done. Okay, let's go ahead and open up that app and just take a look at it. Review app verifier's privacy policy. Again, you can read through this. You check it off. You hit continue. You're good to go. And this allows you to verify what are known as APK files. So files that are app files that you would install on your phone, but you just download the file and install it. If you do it blindly, you may be downloading malware. And so this will just help you with that process. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to use this app with some of our upcoming apps that we're going to install now. Okay, so I've opened up my browser here, and we're going to download a few different files to install different app stores. The first one is called Aurora Store, and this is a way of getting Google Play and basically getting apps from the Google Play Store or that are on the Google Play Store without having to have a Google account. And you just kind of go through them and it is handled. You don't need to sign up for anything. So we're going to scroll down here. Sorry, my bad. We're going to go top left, actually, and we're going to choose downloads. And we're going to choose Aurora Store here. And then we are going to go to latest. And we can see this one. And we're going to click on the latest one. And it will download to our downloads folder. And we'll verify using app verify momentarily. But we are going to get some of the other ones as well. I've got a few tabs open up here. The next one I'm going to grab, I've just in the browser searched Droid-ify, Droidify, GitHub. And so this gives me this GitHub account here. It's an F-Droid client, which is another way of getting open source apps on your phone. And so we're just going to take a look here. Droid-ify, we can scroll down a little bit. And there's our release version, the latest version right there. We can click on that. And we need the APK file. So we're going to click there. And we're going to download this. Perfect. The next one I'm going to grab here is, again, I just searched Obtanium, Obtanium APK, or you could search Obtanium GitHub. Either way, we see one right up top. I'm going to tap on that. And once again, I can scroll down and take a look. Installation, we can get it on GitHub. Okay, and it shows me the latest version there. And we'll click on this, the release right there, the top one, and we'll download it. Okay, and I'll go ahead to the last one, and this one is called ZAP Store, and I'll explain the details about this, but again, just another option when it comes to app stores. I'm going to click on the download button right here on the main screen. I can scroll a little bit. There is a, are you on an Android device, app verify. You can input this and verify it. We will be using that in a moment. So we can just hit the download here button and we'll hit download. Okay, now I'm not going to close any of those tabs. But we will come back to this tab in particular in a moment to verify, just because ZAP Store is less well known in terms of being able to easily verify it. So with that said, we just downloaded a bunch of stuff. I'm going to swipe up. I'm going to tap on App Verifier here, and we're going to choose Verify APK File. Okay, we've got a few files here. Let's start from the bottom. That was the first one I downloaded. Success, Aurora Store verified. Okay, that is great. Let's go back. Verify APK, we'll go to the next one. Success, Droid-ify verified. Wonderful, we'll go back. Verify APK, we'll do the next one. Obtanium. Internal database not found. App was not found in the internal database. This isn't anything to worry about, but please verify the app normally. So we need to verify that this is from the right developer. So let's go back to our browser to the Obtanium tab that we were in. Okay, so by clicking on Obtanium up at the top and scrolling down a little bit in the GitHub, there is a hash of the signing certificate. So we're going to basically just copy this whole thing. Copy. Let's jump back to App Verify. And we're going to verify from clipboard. This button here, we'll press it. Success. So we're verified there. Great. It searches a database that they have for App Verify, and if they don't see it, then they need you to bring in basically the signature saying that the developer created this. Okay, We'll go back again, and we're going to do the same thing for ZAP Store. So this top one right here, again, it's not found. So we've just got to go to the page that we were on, and they have a hash right here that I can copy, and we'll choose verify from clipboard. Success, verified. So we verified everything that we downloaded was created by who we expect to see it created by. So we can now go out of this, and now we can actually go and install the apps or the app stores that we've just gotten. So we swipe up, and we're actually going to go to our files right here. And this shows our downloads, and we can basically any one of these, we can install one at a time. So if I tap on the bottom right, it says, hey, do you want to open with App Verifier, Package Installer? Actually, that makes it a lot easier. You don't even need to go to App Verifier first and select the file. But nonetheless, I'm going to choose Package Installer, and I'll say just once. For your security, phone isn't allowed to install. I'm going to change the settings here. I'm going to allow. Okay, and I'll hit install. So it's installing the Aurora store, and we're going to go through the same process. I'll just hit done here. I'll go back, and with the next app here, I'm going to say, again, package installer just once, and I'm going to hit install. Okay, I'll hit done. Same thing for the others. Okay, so I've gone through, I've installed all of these, and now they do pop up here on my main screen. If I want to, I can also drag a crescent up there, and I can also drag, is that everything I want? Yeah, I think so. So we'll just kind of leave those. So you can see the theme of the icons down below, and you can see the theme of the new ones up top. They have their own colors. Either way, we've now installed all of the different app stores. So from the app store here, I also want to click on Google Play services, and I'm going to hit settings and disable there. Perfect. Okay, so we're now going to use this as our command center for installing apps from these app stores, disabling them, and then only allowing them to be used in certain profiles. And then we're going to segregate and install Google Play services in a very specific profile. So up next, we're going to cover user profiles. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions. CoinKite has been in the game for years, creating hands down the best and most secure hardware when it comes to securing your Bitcoin. The Cold Card Q is an absolute powerhouse and my daily driver, and it's ideal for newcomers and advanced users alike. The Tap Signer gives you a low-cost, user-friendly option for those just getting started or for convenience when traveling. You can head to coinkite.com and use code BTC Sessions for discounts, or simply scan the QR code on the screen to get started right away. Droid-ify is the best and easiest way to borrow against your Bitcoin in a non-custodial way. Funds are held in a multi-sig escrow where you hold a key, and the platform allows for excellent hardware like the Cold Card Mark IV and the Q. You have access to flexible conditions, the best rates, and institutional-grade liquidity. If you're looking to make use of your capital, don't sell your Bitcoin, borrow against it. You can head over to droid-ify.com to check them out, or simply scan the QR code on the screen. Now, we have a variety of ways to obtain apps, and just to kind of differentiate what is going on here and what these things do, that are different from one another. The Google Play Store and the Aurora Store both access the same app repo. So this is all effectively apps from the Google Play Store or the repo where all that information is held. The Play Store requires you to have an account, whereas the Aurora Store allows you to download the same apps without an account. And there's different reasons why you might want to use either. It's going to be up to you how you do that. I'll explain more about anonymously getting an account in the Play Store momentarily. Now, when it comes to a Crescent, again, this is going to be a little bit more limited in scope of what you're going to get, as we saw before, going in here and seeing the different apps. There's a selection, but again, a little bit more limited in scope, but also, pretty secure and well done app store. Droid-ify, this and a number of other apps, including the F-Droid app, all point to the same repository. So I just grabbed one of the options and I ended up grabbing Droid-ify. But if you grab the F-Droid app, if you grab, I believe, Neo, and there's some other ones out there, they all point to the same place, much like the Play Store and Aurora Store point to the same repo of the same apps. Droid-ify, F-Droid, Neo, and others point to the same repo. Now, to note here, all the apps on the Droid-ify, or rather on the F-Droid repo, are going to be fully open source software in order to be listed there. There is a trade-off security-wise in here in that you can sign apps, as we saw, and verify them with the developer's signature. However, the F-Droid repo signs the apps with the F-Droid repo signature, or with the F-Droid app signature. And so you're kind of trusting, they're kind of adding like an additional step in there. So when you go to verify, you're verifying that F-Droid signed it. And so if there was a compromise of F-Droid, you could potentially go to verify the package and see it as verified, but it could still be malicious. Not to say you don't find malicious stuff in the Play Store or the Aurora Store or other places, but, just to be aware in the trade-off there. Obtainium, this allows you to download directly from GitHub pages simply by pasting in the link. It's not actually an app store itself, but it kind of streamlines the ability to download any app from any GitHub page, and it verifies it internally as you do it, which is super awesome. And the ZAP Store, this is a unique one. Also, again, maybe it's very new, so there may be limited apps in there, but the cool thing about it is it integrates with something called Nostr. This is, I guess, a kind of a, we'll call it a censorship-resistant way of posting notes and other things, thus the name, through relays. Notes and other stuff through relays is what Nostr stands for. But the cool thing about it is with the ZAP Store, because it's integrated with Nostr, on Nostr, the way that social profiles work is you have a public and private key, which means if you publish software, you can verify the software is from you by posting it with your private and public signature, and people can see that it was clearly you or the owner of the keys that published it. So cool little integration there, just an alternative app store for you to check out. And then, of course, we have the app store we just looked at, which is the GrapheneOS store. Again, limited stuff, kind of just system-related apps in there. So we have all these different app stores. Let's go ahead. We're going to install a few apps that may be useful. However, we're going to disable them on this main profile, and then we'll start setting up different user profiles for different uses after that. But let's check out some apps that we may want to get. All right, let's start by getting a couple things from the Aurora Store, and this will not require us to have an account. So I'm going to go ahead to the Aurora Store here. We do have our welcome screen, and we'll go ahead. We'll allow things to be installed. So allow from the source, and yep, there we go. We will be able to. I'm not going to do the external storage manager for larger apps and games. Background downloads, allow to download, update apps in the background. I will say yes, allow. Notifications. I don't really want notifications. App links. Allow Aurora to store to open supported links. Yeah, I'll leave that for now. I'll hit finish. Okay, now it says I can log in with Google, which I don't want to do, or I can be anonymous. And so I'm going to tap anonymous here. If you do get this message, oops, you're rate limited, then just try again. So here we are without having to log in the Aurora App Store. And for this example, we'll just look up Brave browser, which is a nice privacy-centric browser here and really simple. We'll hit install. So when you get this pop-up here, do you want to install this app? And then there's a little checkbox, allow network permission. So we are going to install it, but while we're in our kind of main owner profile, we're actually not going to allow network permission. We will only do that for the profiles in which we later install the apps that we want. Okay. So just for now, blanket, we're going to say no to that. But we're going to hit the install button, and there we go. We can now see it is installed. We're not going to open it up right now, but we'll go back out and we can see it pops up on our main screen here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to long hold on it. I'm going to go to app info, and then we're going to disable the app. And again, we're going to do that for every app that we install on our owner profile, the main profile that we're on right now. So I'll go back out, and it's now disabled, which also means we won't see it here in the we won't see it here installed in our main app folder. We can, and I should note that we can with the app verifier right here that we've used before. You can actually, before you disable it, go through and actually check it. And actually it is still showing there. So I can tap on Brave, and hey, it is from their internal database. It shows as a success here. So they verified it. So that's all good. Perfect. So those are kind of some general steps that we're going to do here, regardless of where we're getting our apps from. So we're going to go on to Droid-ify now. And do we want notifications? I don't need notifications for that. Okay. And so it will now kind of query the repository of all of the different apps that are available to us. So we can see them begin to populate here. There's a whole bunch. And we can search for anything that we need as well. So I'm going to grab Aegis Authenticator. So Aegis. There it is up top there. So this is a two-factor authentication app that I would like to do in place of something like Google Authenticator. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to hit install here. There we go. For your security, your phone currently isn't allowed to install from this source. Again, we'll do settings and we will allow from that source. We're going to say install, and off we go. We'll go back. Perfect. And same thing, we'll go out here, and if it doesn't show on our main screen here, it will show here, and I can long press app info and then disable as well. And we'll use that on one of the other profiles. Now let's take a look at how Obtainium works. So I'm going to open up Obtainium here. And again, I don't want notifications here. So the Obtainium GitHub page linked below contains links to videos, articles, discussions, and resources. So that's all good. If you need additional resources, I'll just hit OK. And I'm going to navigate here. There is an add app button. Right now, we have no apps that have been installed with Obtainium. So I'm going to hit add app. So from the add app page, I'm going to need an app source URL. And so this will be their GitHub page where they host the APK files to download. You can search here as well. Sometimes you won't be able to find what you need. So you can try that out and try and find what you need. But otherwise, I'm just going to actually paste in the URL from the GitHub page itself. So I've actually already pulled that up here, and I just did a search. I just did a search online for Signal GitHub. And I found this pretty quickly. And then I just need to designate which repository am I using? I need Signal for Android specifically. And that should be good for me. What I need is the URL up top, which I can just copy. And then I can go back into Obtanium and I can paste in what I've copied and then just go ahead and hit add. And that should begin to take me through a bit of a process here. All right, so it lets me know Signal Android by Signal app, and their GitHub page says it's not installed. This is the latest update. And so at the bottom, I have the option to install. So I'm going to hit the install button at the very bottom. And then it says I can use App Verifier to verify the app itself. So I'm going to tap on that. And it says success. We verified the app from their internal database. That sounds good. So I can go back. And then it says, do you want to install the app? Yes, I do. But I'm going to disable network permissions and hit the install button. And we can now see it has been installed, and in Obtanium under apps, we now have it listed, as will anything else we install be. So with that, again, if I do want to get out of it, I can always just hit the remove button down here, but that looks all good. One last little step. I've got the icon here on my main page. I'm going to long hold app info, and I will disable so that we're not going to use it on our main profile here. We'll install it to other profiles in a little bit. And finally, let's check out the ZAP Store. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Familiar kind of thing. All your different latest releases, popular apps, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to search up one in particular called RoboSats. This is a peer-to-peer way to buy and sell Bitcoin. And I'm going to tap on that release that I've searched up. So it gives us kind of an overview of what the app is, some explanation down below. This is interesting here. It shows that a relatively large Nostr account. Again, the unique thing about the ZAP Store being that it's kind of plugged in and part of Nostr, this censorship-resistant social circle. I don't want to call it social media. It's more than that, but everybody has their own public and private key. So this is a person that I'm familiar with, and they've picked this app and vetted it. If I were logged into my Nostr account on the ZAP Store, it would also show any of my friends and connections that have downloaded and successfully used this app, vetting it as well. Down below, again, we can see it is signed by the developer. I can even tip the developer in Bitcoin directly in the app, which is kind of cool. We also have the package certificate and hashes and all that, so you can use App Verifier to verify everything there, as we've seen before. And you just tap to copy. And down below, again, any recent changes, and then the install button. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to install the app. It does say, hey, do you trust this developer? And, you can basically say, if I trust this developer with their keys, then you don't need to ask me this again in the future, or you can just trust and install for this one instance. So we'll do that for now. It'll download, and then it'll begin the process of installation. So first, verify integrity. We can do the app verifier and paste in. We've seen how to do that already, so I'll skip over that, but we'll do the package installer. Do we want to install? Yes, but we're going to disallow network permissions. Install, and we're off to the races. Okay, successfully installed. There we go. And last thing to do, we'll just jump out of the App Store. We see the icon pop up, long press, app info, and we'll disable on our main profile, and it disappears. Okay, so there we go. We have now successfully gone through Aurora Store, Droid-ify, Obtanium, and ZAP Store for acquiring and installing apps. We've previously used a Crescent. We've used the App Store that is inherent to GrapheneOS. We haven't used the Play Store, although it is the same repo as the Aurora Store. I'll go over a little bit more about Play Store and, how and why you might want to use the Play Store over Aurora Store when it comes to certain apps, and why you might want to get an anonymous profile set up with Play Store and how you might go about that. But for now, I think we've kind of gone through the gamut here. That's pretty good. And let's now dive into user profiles. Okay, let's set up our first user profile. And actually, I want to use this opportunity to actually set up how I'd like to deal with Google Play related stuff and touch a little bit on that. And then we'll talk about how we might create other user profiles for other reasons. So Google Play. The main thing that we don't want happening with Google Play and Play services is it collecting all our information about what we're doing on our device. And so what we're trying to do is create a segregated user profile for that specific use case of stuff that we need to get and use from the Google Play Store that requires Play services, which are notorious for not being super private. So how do we segregate anything to do with Google Play? Well, couple things, and I've flip-flopped back and forth on this a little bit, but I think this will be the best bet, is I actually, I've kind of gone back and forth even in this video, but the Play Store and Google Play services, I actually am going to disable both of those things on this main profile here. And those were both installed via the regular GrapheneOS App Store, so we're going to go there. You can see I already had it selected, but I'll click on it again. So Google Play Store, I can go to Settings, and I can disable it. So I've disabled that. We'll go back, and then Google Play Services, we'll go Settings again, and we'll disable that as well. Okay, so when I go back out of this App Store, you'll notice the Play icon is gone, and it's not in my app drawer either. It's missing. That's okay. And so what that means is we're actually not going to utilize the Google Play Store at all within this particular profile. We'll utilize it in a sandboxed profile that is completely on its own. Okay, and so how do we do that? Well, a couple different ways to get there. You can swipe down once and then twice and then go to the settings wheel down at the bottom here. Or alternatively, you can swipe up, and there's also an app icon for it here. Either way, it's going to get you to the same general place, this right here. We are then going to scroll down a little bit. We're looking for System. We're going to click there. And then there's something that says Users. Now, from other videos that I've looked up on this topic, these menus have changed a little bit. It may change a little bit in the future how you access them and how ready it is or if you have to enable it. But right now, it seems to just be enabled by default, the option to add users. But if I tap on users, there's this option up top that says allows users to switch. You can see I do have a test profile here that I was playing around with in between takes. I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm going to delete that one. So we'll start fresh as if we don't have any additional users. Okay, so we're going to add a user. And when we go to add a user, it's going to ask us some things about what we want to do with this particular user. So I'm going to click add user. I'm going to say next. We'll give it a name, and we'll call this one Google, because this will be our sandbox Google. We can add a photo. I'm not going to do that right now. We'll hit done. Okay, so options. We can switch to Google, meaning the user right away. We can allow it to run in the background. Now, I'm going to say if this is the sandbox Google stuff, I'm actually going to turn that off because anything that you need Google Play services for will be within this profile. And as soon as we leave this profile, I'd like that stuff to be disabled on the phone so we know what's running and what's not. So I'm going to turn that off. You can add phone calls, SMS, all that if you have a SIM card in there. I'm going to turn that off as well because also I don't want Google Play services being aware of any of that. And then app installs and updates. I'm going to leave that enabled because I need the ability to add something right now to the profile from the apps that we've already downloaded. And so what we're going to do is we're going to click on Install Available Apps. And this will show us all the stuff that we have that we've downloaded. And in there, we see Google Play Services and Google Play Store. Even though it was missing from my main profile, it's still downloaded and it sees it as an app that could be installed on a profile. So disabled on my owner profile, but will be available in this profile. So I've selected those. I may add Aurora Store here as well. Just again, it's pulling from the same repo. So doesn't hurt to have it there as well. So I'm just finding all the Google stuff and I'm just going to kind of segregate it. Now with Aurora Store, as a reminder, you can download apps anonymously. If they do require Play services, but you install them on a different profile that doesn't have Play services active, then they won't work. So you'll have to kind of just test and figure out what ones require Play services or not. So anyways, that's it. I just clicked the apps that I wanted installed on this user profile, and now I'll go back. And so at this point, I'm actually going to switch to the Google profile just to check it out. Let's click there. Set up as a user now. Make sure the person is available to take the device. So obviously, we're the same user. It's just assuming that you're doing this for another person, but that's not the case. Set up now. Okay, so it's now going to bump us into a brand new user profile, and it starts as it did when we started up the GrapheneOS operating system for the first time, and it takes us through our initial options. I'm going to disable location services for now. We can always toggle that back on if we want. And now it's asking me to set up a PIN. You obviously can't see it at this point, but I'm just going to do a simple one for this, and we'll confirm it. I'm not going to do the fingerprint. I'm not going to restore any apps and data, so I'll skip that, and then I'll hit start. So here we are. We have a pretty blank screen as we did with the original profile, but if I swipe up, we've got the Google Play Store and the Aurora Store. If I want, I can drag those onto my main screen. And the way it would work, even though these were disabled on the main profile, I can open them here. Obviously, I don't yet have a Google Play account, but you can see the app opens up no problem. I can also open up the Aurora Store and go through the initial settings, finish that up, and then log in anonymously as we've done in the past. And we'll have access to the same kind of stuff. So, we're familiar now with what the Aurora Store looks like. But once we had a Google account, we could then log in and use the Play Store, and we can install apps natively within this profile. They will also show up as options from the owner profile to install in other profiles. Okay. Every time you install an app, it is installed once on the phone, and it is just there. This profile in particular has the ability to also install apps. So we're pretty much good to go. Now, if we want to go out of this profile to switch, instead of going through all those settings and everything, really, really simple. Swipe down once, swipe down twice. You'll notice there's a little avatar icon here. If I click on it, it shows the different users. There's the Google one we set up and the owner. So I'll click on owner, and it will switch back to the original main profile that we set up. And I'll swipe up and put in a PIN. And this is where we left off. We were here. So I can back out. Perfect. So we're back in our main profile here. So the way I want you to think of this is kind of like your command center for setting up profiles and installing apps to the phone itself. Always good to disable them as soon as they've been installed, and then be very purposeful for what profile you put them into. And we'll do another example in a moment. But for right now, I want to address a little bit about Google Play Store and how you might go about getting a private profile for the purpose of using Google Play and making sure that you're leaking as little data as possible. Looking for a simple and secure way to manage your Bitcoin on mobile? Aqua Wallet has you covered. It's user-friendly and puts you in full control of your Bitcoin with secure self-custody. Aqua also supports Lightning and Liquid Network, making fast, cheap Bitcoin payments and asset transfers easier than ever. Plus, it even supports stablecoins, giving you ultimate flexibility. Built on open source code, Aqua is transparent, trustworthy, and perfect for beginner and pros alike. Ready to upgrade your Bitcoin experience? Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen now to download Aqua Wallet today.
If you've been around Bitcoin for more than a minute, you've definitely seen something made by CryptoCloaks. Since 2017, they've been the go-to for badass 3D printed Bitcoin gear, from custom home mining rigs to sleek hardware wallet mounts that make your setup look pro. I've been stacking Cloaks gear for years, and most recently I grabbed their Gamma case for my miner. Let me tell you, it turns some heads. You can customize everything, and of course, the legendary Bitcoin grenade, yeah, that's them. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code to visit CryptoCloaks.com and stack your own custom Cloaks gear today.
Securing your Bitcoin doesn't have to be complicated or invasive. With Nunchuck's Honey Badger plan, you get state-of-the-art multisig with built-in inheritance planning and no KYC required. Nunchuck is trusted by users to secure billions of dollars in Bitcoin. The Honey Badger plan offers 204 assisted multisig, guiding you step-by-step on mobile or desktop. It works seamlessly with hardware wallets like TapSigner, Coldcard, Jade, and plenty of others, so you're always in control. Plus, with non-KYC inheritance planning, you can ensure your Bitcoin goes to your loved ones. No private info needed. Take control of your Bitcoin today. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen to check out the Honey Badger plan. When it comes to creating a Google profile, they're going to ask things like, what is your name? And they may ask for things like phone numbers and just general information about you. And so you can go ahead and try and come up with all that stuff yourself, or you can use a plethora of different websites that will generate an imaginary person for you. So one commonly used one is called fakenamegenerator.com, where you can designate a gender, the type of name, I guess like typical names in different places, and the country of origin. So here, as an example, I said a male with an American sounding name from Canada. I generated it. I'm now from Saskatchewan. My name is Anthony DeMaria. And I have a whole bunch of different information. Even goes as far as to give me like a pretend credit card, which I'm sure doesn't actually work, obviously. But it just gives me a whole bunch of different data that may pass the sniff test and allow you to easily sign up for a Google account without having to give a bunch of real information. There's also randompersongenerator.com. There's also fauxid.com, FAUXID.com. So just some examples of how you can easily create an individual, a name, without having to rack your brain here. Now, there's more that you should consider. If you were to create a new Gmail account, a Google account at home, that is being done through your IP address. And so that could then link that Google account. In fact, it does link that Google account to a creation in your general vicinity. So that can be problematic for some people. Maybe they want to go the extra mile and not even have any sort of association with their home address. You may think, well, I'll put on a VPN or I'll use Tor. Not so fast, because when you go to create a Google account and you're using one of those things and they detect it, you will often run into problems, aka you won't be able to complete the process. They'll think that something is fishy and stop the account creation process as you're trying to do it. So what are your options? Do you just link it to your IP address? Well, the other option that you could use is you could go somewhere with free Wi-Fi, plunk down with a laptop there, and then set up your profile on said laptop. I think that's if you're really, really being cautious about your privacy, then that is a more than fair option. So, go for a little drive, go to a local mall, coffee shop, somewhere in your city, use their Wi-Fi and set up that account, and just make note of all of the credentials that you need. And then you'll be able to access it on your GrapheneOS phone when you go to log in to the Google Play Store. Now, there's one other thing when creating a new online account. Oftentimes now, you will see a requirement to receive an SMS text message to verify where you are. And this can be a tricky one to navigate. Now, I'm going to show you an example of a service where you can get your text messages for the duration of the setup here. It will require you to be privy to using Bitcoin in this example. But let's take a look at it. If you're not privy to Bitcoin and you're just here for the Graphene information, well, you're in luck because this is pretty much a Bitcoin channel. So you can take a peek at how to obtain some Bitcoin and then use this service. There are other services out there where you can pay with credit card and everything, but that opens up a whole other host of things. This is a pretty private way of going about it. So let's take a peek. This is smsforsats.com, and you can receive or send text messages, and you can pay with something known as the Lightning Network on Bitcoin, which just makes it faster and cheaper. And so, yeah, I need to select a country and a service first to receive a text message. Okay, so I'm going to say I am in Canada. And, what service am I receiving a text message from? And you can designate there. So, if I believe Google should be here, let's just type it. Google, YouTube, Gmail. Yep, there you go. Okay, so you do that. You would say next, and then it would say, okay, in order to pay, you're going to need to basically pay with Bitcoin here. Now, I do have a little plugin that has a funded Bitcoin wallet that will be able to pay this. I'm going to use it right now. It's called Albi, but you may use something different. Alternatively, you may have a phone with a Bitcoin wallet on it, a Lightning wallet on it. You could just scan the invoice, the little QR code here on the screen, and pay it. And 1,500 sats at the time of recording this video. I think that's about $1 something. It's not that expensive, less than $2, we'll say. But anyways, and for a one-time thing to receive a text message, that's fine. Anyways, I do have my Bitcoin wallet here. It detected that there's a request for money. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to connect and I'm going to pay. Yeah, $1.75 is what this is going to cost me. Now, I'm not actually going to get a text message because I'm not setting up a profile right now, but just proof of concept. I hit pay now and it should go through. There we go. We can see that it got paid. So now it says that I have 20 minutes to receive the text message. So this would be this setup process that I'd be going through. So a useful tool in order to send and receive text messages in the context of potentially getting a Google account or other services where you want to remain private. And a side note, I'll link down below to a Learn page that has some basics on Bitcoin wallets and everything. So if you're not a Bitcoiner, but you're curious, well, how do I get some Bitcoin and how do I use a wallet to pay something like this? Then it'll show you some of those steps so that it's easy for you. So now that we've got the Google stuff out of the way, let's create one more profile, again, just as an example. And this will kind of be our main usage profile where most of our apps are going to live. Okay, so I'm going to swipe down twice. I'll click on the little avatar icon and we're going to add a user right there. Do we want to add a new user? We'll hit next and we'll call this daily. I don't know, my daily profile. I probably could have come up with a better name for it, whatever, and done. So we're going to create that user. We're going to go ahead. We'll say next. I did allow for location services there. That was just kind of I got a little ahead of myself. We can disable that after the fact. Anyways, no fingerprint. We'll skip. Okay. And we'll start. Okay, so here's our main profile. Now, I don't want to install stuff from this profile. And again, we don't have anything installed on here right now because we didn't go through that process. But let's go back. I'm going to go tap on our users. So we're switching back here. Okay, so we're in our owner profile. I'll swipe down. I'll tap on the profiles here, and I'm going to hit Manage Users. And I'll click on Daily. Okay, so here's our settings. Right now I have Allow running in the background. And what this would do is if I'm in a different profile and I have apps running in the background and this profile running in the background, I will get notifications if something happens on the other profile, on my main profile. Now, I don't want that happening with my Google profile. I don't want Google Play services running in the background if I forget about them. But for other apps that aren't necessarily, that aren't taking a ton of my data, then I think that's okay. Now, install available apps is what I would like to do here. And I'm going to add anything that is an application that I am going to use day to day. So my two-factor authentication, maybe I'll do Brave, and I'll do RoboSats and Signal. So like the stuff that I actually use, your day-to-day apps, not app stores. I think it's better to install them via this screen so you're purposeful in what is on that profile. But these are the ones that'll enable. I'll go back, and that should be good. Let's switch to daily and just take a peek at what it looks like now. I should have a handful of apps in my app drawer. Okay, so here's our profile. We'll swipe up, and there's our apps, and we'll just, we can drag them onto the screen here, and Brave, and put Signal over here, and we'll get RoboSats. But you get the point. This would be, okay, I've got my browser. I've got, my RoboSats. Maybe I'm going to be getting some Bitcoin. I've got my Messenger. Maybe I've got my social media stuff on here. Whatever I tend to use day to day, I can have that here. Now, you may want to further segregate things for different purposes. So you may just have, your regular phone and then sandboxed Google stuff. But you may choose to have, if you're using Bitcoin stuff, maybe you have a segregated user profile that is for wallets and your security in and around Bitcoin. That could be a pretty reasonable thing to do. Maybe you'll have a day profile for just your fun day-to-day stuff, and maybe you have a work profile so that you're not getting distractions from things like social media. So there's a whole bunch of different things. You can also have a kids profile, maybe it has a few games, but it doesn't have any access to installing apps and stuff like that. That's absolutely another option that you could do. So there's a whole bunch of different things that you have, and you can swap out permissions and things like that for individual profiles. But the world is your oyster, and you can decide how you're going to deal with that. So let's take a quick look here at an example of a day-to-day profile. And this is by no means meant to be fully fleshed out. It's just an example of some apps that might be useful. And obviously I've put in a background here on the phone. Let's just take a peruse through. So up in the top left, I just have grouped in a folder a few security things. We've got our two-factor authentication with Aegis, I believe it's called, Aegis. Bitwarden is a password manager as an option. KeePass is another one. And then Mullvad VPN is one that I really like that I use. And you can pay with Bitcoin. There's no user accounts or anything like that. You just get an account number, which is great. In order to replace things like email and, even two-factor authentication, things like password managers, calendars, cloud drives. If you're looking for something that's going to be relatively well put together and easy to use, even though you're relying on a third-party server for any of your files and passwords and stuff like that, Proton has a pretty good suite that they've worked out. Again, here just an example of like a Bitcoin folder with wallet and ability to obtain Bitcoin without requiring ID. Of course, got our gallery for any pictures that we have. Organic Maps is a good option when it comes to replacing something like Google Maps, and it can be done fully offline. Nextcloud, just another option to even self-host some of your cloud stuff that you might like to have, photos, files, that kind of stuff. NewPipe is more or less a YouTube replacement, so it can scrape YouTube and will let you watch the videos there, but doesn't require a login or anything like that. Primal is for Nostr, so that censorship resistant social layer, and you can get it comes across kind of like a Twitter type client or an X type client. We've got our regular calculator and clock apps down here. Signal in place of the stock messenger, Brave in place of the regular browser. Lots of different options there. There's one other thing that I did install on this as well. It's called AnySoft Keyboard. I really like the keyboards that have the swipe functionality, and so what I mean there is, let's go to Brave here, and if I want to type something instead of you can actually kind of do these gestures where you swipe across the keyboard. I don't have it enabled right now, but you can set that here in AnySoft Keyboard, and it allows you to do things like enable gesture typing, so input a word by sliding your finger through the letters. Other gestures, all kinds of different stuff, settings for your keyboard, which is great. I prefer using that to the stock keyboard. So lots of different options there. But there you have it. Again, an example of a user profile for day-to-day use. Now let's talk being private when obtaining a SIM card. So if you don't want to get a SIM card from a local provider and you don't want to, maybe you don't necessarily have a need for doing voice calls or anything like that, you're going to be primarily dependent on data and connecting via private messengers and video calls and things like that. Well, then you can do something like obtaining an eSIM, eSIM card for your phone. And one private way of doing that I've come across is this. It's called silent.link. And it allows you to, again, as they say, stay connected privately with global eSIM cards. And it allows you, of course, to pay with Bitcoin and some other options there. And for me, this is very useful, especially when traveling, things like that. It does show you, basically, this is a global eSIM card. It works anywhere. When you get the card itself, it has a flat fee, plus gives you an initial balance of whatever balance you want. And then the pricing depends on the network that you connect to locally. So if we go over to check pricing and then we select, I'm in Canada, for instance. So if I go down, I select Canada, it'll show me, okay, depending on what network I connect to, and that can vary, I'm going to be per gigabyte, I'm going to be paying about $4, which I've seen obviously cheaper globally, but just so I kind of get an idea based on where I am. TELUS is pretty predominant here, Bell as well. So that gives me an idea of what I may be paying. If you need to look for your own country, you just check your pricing there. Then you would hit buy now. You choose whether you want, just like a one-off, or whether you want a full year of internet access, which also gives you a phone number so you can receive, I believe, and send text messages. But either way, you would adjust. Let's say I want a $50 balance. I can now go ahead and click here, pay with Lightning would be a good option for me. And that's it. It pops up here. I scan this with my Bitcoin wallet and I pay it, and it will give me a SIM card that I can then, with the information, install it into my phone. I can, of course, do this on mobile as well. In fact, that would be much more convenient because everything would be right where I need it to be. Pay with Bitcoin, and you're off to the races. And now you have a global eSIM card that you've obtained privately. So really, really cool. Great resource for those trying to be private with your GrapheneOS phone. So some key takeaways I have here from this experience. Again, I also am new to Graphene, and I found that the initial install was actually much easier than I expected. And I think that has evolved quite a bit over time with the advent of the web installer and all of those things. It's a few little tweaks and you're off to the races, as you saw. Now, the trickier thing for a lot of people will probably be in migrating from either an Android phone, like a Google Pixel or a Samsung or an iPhone even, to something like this. Replacing apps that you used to use regularly on your old phone, if they do need to be replaced, with open source options. Now, not all apps will need to be completely replaced, of course. You can still use some other ones. It really just depends on the degree of privacy that you're trying to get. And in that same vein, some people will simply use this as a mechanism to ensure they're not censored from installing the apps that they want from any source that they want, because we are staring down the barrel of Google locking down its ecosystem. So you can't just do that, which is why it's so important to have options like GrapheneOS. On the other hand, if you do want to go the route of not leaking an ounce of data, you can go pretty hard down that rabbit hole and lock everything down. It will make things more difficult, but obviously, if that's your primary goal, then you can absolutely do that. You can also find a happy medium somewhere that works best for you. And I encourage you to just kind of explore and find what works. Now, in terms of other things I'd like to explore in future videos, I mentioned things like Bitwarden and Nextcloud and all of that kind of stuff. I'm super interested in sovereign computing, aka hosting some of your own stuff on your own server. I'm a huge fan of what Start9 Labs is doing. They have plug and play devices that you can get, or you can install it really on any hardware capable of running a Linux distro. And I love the idea of being able to self-host your password manager or your files and photos or your multimedia or whatever, and making it accessible via your phone and linking all that stuff together. And so you can keep an eye out for that in the future as I begin to explore those topics and then discuss how to link it to a phone ecosystem like this when you're on the fly. Other than that, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of GrapheneOS? What has been your experience if you've already dove in? And what concerns do you have about switching over from iPhone or Google Pixel or Samsung or something like that to GrapheneOS? I'd love to check it out. Please do comment down below. I'd like to take a moment to give a shout out to somebody who was integral in the creation of this video with his own content, which helped me inform how I wanted to kind of aggregate a bunch of stuff into a singular tutorial. And if you find that there is not enough information or you want a deeper dive into the realm of GrapheneOS, I highly recommend you check out this guy. What a legend for the content that he's put out. But Side of Burritos, my hat's off to you, sir. I am a very visual learner, which is the reason I created this Bitcoin channel. And when I do cover tangential topics, I'm always looking for somebody that can help me in that respect with visual aids of their own. And your channel is one of those that I greatly appreciate. So, Side of Burritos, I recommend you guys check him out if you're looking for more technological self-sovereignty and privacy. He's got you covered over at Side of Burritos on YouTube. Great username too. He loves burritos, by the way. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please do like, subscribe, share. Those things all help an absolute ton. And I will say also, if you need some additional hand-holding on your Bitcoin journey, of course, because this is a Bitcoin channel, please head to btcsessions.ca/learn. There you'll be able to find in-depth tutorials on just about every Bitcoin-related skill you could want. So if it's new to you, or if you're just kind of dipping your toes in and you have some few base skills, you can really level up on this page and dive deeper with some playlist that I've provided there. And if you need really premium one-on-one help, reach out to my team down at the bottom at Bitcoin Mentor, and we'll get your setup absolutely nailed down. With that, I'm out. My name is Ben with the BTC Sessions. Keep stacking sats, but also keep stacking those skills. We'll see you next time. Bye.